The Summer Night Market.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Ooh, make sure we have money. I mean, we don't have our mics on yet, so we're good. See if it connects. Come on, connect. Come on. I have it plugged in. Come on.
Come on, connect.
Hi. Look up my nose for a minute.
That's the one thing I miss about the old USB plug-in, was that you could plug it any which way. You didn't have to plug it a certain way.
Can't let me plug this in either. Yeah, see, it popped open again. Okay. Can't move it. I think it's because when it fell over,
It broke.
it broke, so.
All right, we're gonna have to talk real loud. You're gonna have to talk real loud. I'm naturally loud.
Yeah, we know. It's all right. Just annoying.
We'll get this is a sign to get new equipment.
No, you need to be honest. Michelle broke it.
No, it's a sign we can get new equipment.
Okay.
Tataru, you are so bright because you are so white. Did you see Renee's leg?
Yeah, she said
She looks like she has sun poisoning.
She was in her lounger in her pool, and she burnt one leg. I was like, how the hell do you do that? And then I got to thinking, it's like, no, I won't ask that because I've done the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not because I burn real. It's difficult for me to burn.
Not me. I'm as white as a freaking ghost. Okay, everybody, you know what today is. It's the dreadful
Fred and Rose.
So, yes, we're going to have to speak a little louder because the thing broke. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yay.
Yeah. So, we're going
I
to
have my thing laid out here in front of me.
I usually eat two.
I usually eat two too.
Do you have the last two? Yep. Okay. So,
I have my stuffed animal right here. It is a penguin in a Triceratops outfit. And she has her gnome. So, these are for emotional support. Can
Yes.
you get us the pizza?
I can get it. No, go. I'll get it. He's going to be like, I'm dancing. Doing the cha-cha.
But yeah, so we're gonna have a little bit of pizza. We just got off of work.
Yeah, so
And
we're...
when I tell you, it was a rough day at work.
Yes,
it was. Our boss was walking through.
Yeah, 141 views.
Our boss was walking through. It was. Yes, pizza.
Yeah.
We thought we might have a little bit of joy. Actually, no, Justin made it. We came in and Justin was making it.
I know, I'm
It
shocked.
was weird. But no, we get to have a little bit of pizza. Oh, you
And we
had it
would
last
use our
night.
mics, but, you know, yesterday when y'all fell over,
And
it broke. So, yeah, we have to...
I'm taking that as a sign that we need to get better equipment.
Yeah. That just means, you know, Michelle broke it.
Or
That's
it
how
could
I'm
be a
taking
sign that we need better equipment. I'm just saying. Something that's not so easily breakable.
Especially around me.
And me, because I was super worried I was going to break it in the
We
beginning.
wanted to get those big microphones.
Yes.
Because we can attach them to the table.
That way they can,
We won't break those.
yeah. It'd be
All we
very
have do is
difficult to
probably,
break them.
Use Bluetooth or something like that from our phones.
Yeah, I think also our like phones plug in and you can use it for like audio.
Oh, yeah, because we were going to get a soundboard too.
Yeah, we have a soundboard. Justin?
Michelle's going to play with the soundboard. Which one do you want?
Either one.
Come on. He has the door shut.
Oh.
Why?
Your little soundboard is in there.
Actually,
Mission.
no, it's not.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. It's over in the office.
No, because I brought it out here, I thought.
No, you put it back in the office. Okay.
No, I'm going to go get it.
Yeah, you're gonna need it. You're gonna need to find any joy you can with this case.
Yeah.
So just a warning. So this is again a really rough case.
So viewer discretion advised.
Very much advised. When we get to like the tough topics inside of it, I'll give you guys a heads up before we reach the rougher topics. Cause like the rough topics kind of begin early, but we'll see. So
Stop it.
I'm going to talk about Fred and Rose West, and these people are monsters. And they are cowards to the nth degree. Like, there is no end to their cowardiceness. And when I say that, I mean they couldn't even admit to what they've done. And I'm going to give you this forewarning. They buried their victims in the basement of their house, in the floor of their house. And they told people they didn't kill them. They went, I don't know how they ended up there. I didn't kill them. I just buried them there, which makes no sense.
Apparently these people are not going to make a lick of bit of sense.
They are not going to make a lick of bit of sense. If you are interested in learning more about Fred and Rose West, from a perspective that is very unique, it is a book called Out of the Shadows, and it is written by one of their children. Fred and Rose West had about 10-ish children, some from prior relationships, some from both of them.
Wish I had a Bow Chicka Wow Wow one.
Yeah.
Because they had 10 kids. That's the only reason why.
They had 10 kids. And I will say this. They were
TV.
not the nicest to their kids. Their kids did... It's not like other serial killers. Like, they kind of treated their kids a little bit... They treated their kids better than their victims.
Yeah.
No, these kids also suffered the same... Similar experiences that these victims did. They were horrible people. So the case ended in the 90s, and it did take place through a long period of time. So it's kind of newer. So I'm not going to talk a lot about history because there isn't a lot of history that influences their crime.
Okay.
This is just they are monsters. So we're going to start kind of at the end and then move on to the beginning.
Okay.
So in May 1992, Gloucester, UK police received an anonymous tip that Fred West, and we're going to talk about a tough subject, had been essaying his 13-year-old daughter, Louise. And his wife had been physically abusing her. Right? This was the one tip that initiated an investigation into allegations of abuse, which unraveled into a shocking reveal of serial murders in England's history. So this is a case in England. It's not in the United States, so yay. And some of it does take place in Scotland.
Woo!
Yeah.
Not woo in a yay sense, but woo Scotland.
So Fred and Rose West are suspected of killing 13 young women, including one of their children. In the months after this tip, investigators found 9 bodies buried in the backyard of their house, evidence of several horrendous murders as well inside of their house.
That sounds good.
And some of the cases began starting in the late 60s. So it is a rough case. So let's begin with this Fred monster because he is the oldest of the two.
Okay.
So Fred was born in Muchmunkle. I know, weird place to be born.
I thought you were going to say Munchkin Land.
No,
Munchkin.
I wish, because that means he'd be fictional. And I wouldn't have to do this. So it's in Herefordshire, England. And he was born on September 29th, 1941.
Okay.
He was the second of 8 children of Walter and Daisy West.
Cool names.
2 of his siblings also sadly died in childhood. And since Walter was a farmer in a rural area, he wasn't really able to provide for his growing family. He was barely making it, and as a result, I'm going to give you this fun fact. The kids drank raw milk regularly.
Like right from the cow teat.
Yeah, like right from the cow
See,
teat.
we need a moo. We need a moo thing. Damn it.
They got by with fruits and veggies they grew on their own garden. So they were like barely scraping by. The home was pretty big, but because there were so many children and adults, it kind of felt crammed. The children were crammed into 1 or 2 bedrooms, And their bathroom was a bucket they would have to empty.
Okay.
Yeah. When Fred was born, Willow.
We're gonna do this.
We're gonna do this again. Willow. Willow, can you move? Come here.
See, shirt idea. Moo thing. Oh, we need a shirt that says Willow. We're gonna do this again.
Yeah.
Hi, Mama. Come here. Come here. Willow. Stop rubbing up on things and come here.
Willow, come here.
Willow.
Exactly. Willow, no one needs to see your butt. Come on. Come on.
That's such a good shirt idea. Come on.
Come on.
Willow.
You are dying for stardom.
You were like, you have to have star craved cat. You have
You're
to have
dying for
attention.
stardom. Come on. Willow.
You know, make a t-shirt with just her face and put sunglasses on her
Yeah.
and a star behind her.
Willow, come here.
What are you doing over there? Why?
Okay. What did she do?
What are you doing?
Knocked over the milk tab.
Stop.
Okay. So, when Fred was born, it was a year after Daisy's firstborn daughter had died, and she had actually died a couple of days after she was born.
Aw.
So it was really short-lived. This resulted in Fred being his mother's favorite child. Even his siblings would say that Fred was their mother's favorite child. Fred's younger brother, Doug, later told reporters that Fred was Mammy's blue-eyed boy. This level of closeness that they had caused people to get uncomfortable
I would too.
and said it was unsettling.
Wish there was a vomit button.
Yeah, Fred never formed a bond with his father because of that closeness with his mom.
Can you say psycho in the making?
We don't know necessarily why, but they never got real close. We're assuming that that's why they didn't get so close.
Yeah.
His father was a strict disciplinarian who didn't like to coddle, and he did believe that Daisy coddled Fred.
Well, it sounds like.
Yeah, he was like, you coddled the kid, you coddled them, I don't like that. So Fred's reputation anywhere outside of home was awful. Even when he was a kid. Fred's classmates often thought of him as dim, dirty, and always in trouble due to his slovenly performance.
Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry.
Can we please talk about the dim, dirty, and slovenly performance?
I mean,
Dim and dirty?
Hi, it's me, Dim. And I feel dirty.
okay.
I love it.
Love you too.
So, Daisy would defend her son against teachers who said he was dim and lazy.
Well, I mean,
It's
if he
okay.
got away with crap and mom babied him though, I wish our words would just come out.
Yeah.
Mom babied him a lot, of course.
Well, this led him to getting the appearance of being a mommy's boy. And that caused him to be even made fun of and bullied even more.
Yeah.
This led to him being isolated as he got older. And he didn't really have any friends or acquaintances. So he spent most of his time helping his dad on the farm. Even though he spent a lot of time with his brothers, their relationship was not the best. And there was always arguments between the brothers that would escalate quickly into physical violence.
Oh, jeez.
Fred was the one that started most of them. His temper was really, really short. His brother Doug also said, I disliked Fred from the onset.
Wow.
Um,
That's sad that your own sibling has to tell you, I don't like you.
from
ever
the
since
day you were
came out.
born.
Let me tell you what I really think about you. Okay?
Fred was bullied by his
Jeez.
younger brother John, and it would said John would kick his butt, even though Fred was bigger.
Wow.
The one who's often split up the fight was their dad, and depending if he was drunk or not, he would punish them by whipping them with the belt.
Okay, let's punish all of them. You know, because They're standing their ground.
So this is all happening before he was 15.
Okay.
So that's already kind of like red flags up the wazoo, right?
That's uncomfortable.
By the time he was 15, it was clear Fred was not good in school, and he dropped out and joined his dad as a worker on the farm.
Okay.
It was clear his intellectual development was not the best. It was bad.
I mean, he's getting picked on by the teachers.
Yeah, and from the onset they said he was not that smart. Maybe that's not how he learned or anything like that, but they were like, he's not that good in school.
He's not comprehending stuff.
So there are questions on his social development, specifically in regards to sex later on.
Okay.
Following his arrest when he was an adult, Fred told police, and just remember this.
The San Diego Zoo. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
So I'm going to get into a really rough part of the story. So following his arrest when he was an adult, Fred told police, and remember this, he is a liar and a coward. You cannot trust a single word he said. But he said that this happened. That his mother had SA'd him beginning when he was 12.
Okay.
And his father would have sex with underage girls and taught him to have sex with sheep.
Okay.
Yeah. Years later, his brother Doug said those claims were false. None of us were abused, and that all of it was a fantasy on Fred's end. Even saying he was a fantasizer.
Oh, wow.
By his mid-teen years, he had become really attracted to women, but it was not reciprocated back.
Well, Fred.
When the male teens were going out,
Hi, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. So when one of the guys started going out, one of them noticed that Fred would talk to girls, but his mannerisms were really crude. So women would call him boorish and unpleasant. And the kids would make fun of him for that and call him a country bumpkin.
T-shirt. Country bumpkin.
He didn't actually help this at all. Another source said that if Fred saw a girl he liked, he would just grab at her. Didn't matter if she was interested or not. So he would just grab.
Do that now, Fred. You get your nuts slapped.
One of the things that excited Fred actually was motorcycles. And that was probably because he viewed it as a form of freedom from everyone and everything. Daisy didn't want him to get a bike, and he agreed to sell it if he got hurt or got in an accident.
Oh, okay. Oops.
And on the evening of November 28th,
Nice.
1958, Fred was riding on his motorcycle home. And he was a few meters home when he got into a collision with a girl who was riding a bike in the opposite direction. Details are not clear as to what caused it or anything else, but it attracted another farmer who found the girl who had barely any cuts. But Fred was fucked up. I'm just going to say that. There was a lot of damage.
What? Try skin?
You
can talk.
You can talk.
The branches from the orange trees.
Yeah.
Got all the broken ones or old ones, broke them off and put them in the pile there. After, and I'm surprised he didn't hear me, I went to do the cat litter and one of my hamstrings locked up and started hemorrhaging and I fell backwards.
Hemorrhaging or cramped?
It
Cramped.
cramped and started shaking and I fell backwards. I couldn't get up. I could not get up. Yes, that's right, folks. That's how old I
John
am.
fell over and he couldn't get up.
I couldn't get up.
Were you able to laugh?
The left hamstring, it hurt so bad because it kept doing it. I was like, so I'm trying to stretch the leg out to make the
To make it stop?
stop, and I finally get it to stop, and I'm like, I'm glad there's no one here who saw that. Finally got back up and finished doing the cat litter, finished doing the trees just so that you are aware, so you don't have to do it. Okay?
Get that man a life alert. I will.
Thank you.
Okay, Christmas idea, life alert. Oh, wait, T-shirt.
So,
Yeah, when you get my age,
Muscles don't tend to work as they used to. Yay!
so the farmer found the girl had barely any cuts, but Fred was a mess. He was motionless in a pool of blood.
Come on. Yeah.
They took him 14 miles away to a bigger hospital. and he was unconscious for a couple of days, and they were really worried he was going to die. He woke up 7 days later and slowly regained his ability to move and speak. He compared it to coming back from the dead.
Oh, wow.
He had a broken nose, arm, and a broken leg that was so bad that he had to wear a metal brace until it was fully healed.
Wow.
He also had a severe head injury, including a fractured skull.
Oh, that's probably what the knocking him out and
Yeah.
not being. Don't lick that.
He ended up developing a fear of hospitals. He still went out when he was healing, but there was a noticeable change in how he acted.
No.
He was aggressive with girls by grabbing them, but he wasn't as socially active. He was still reclusive.
Get away. This is a very serious thing. You know what, Fred?
Willow.
Wilhelmina.
She's
We're
fine.
sorry, folks.
She's fine. She wants her stardom.
I know.
She wants her stardom. He's like, that's not what I wanted.
I know.
Thomas says, hi, Willow. She's like our little star. You
Yeah.
notice that?
Yeah.
She's the stealer of the show here.
So he still went out when he was healing, but there was a noticeable change in how he acted. He was even more aggressive with girls by grabbing them even more. But he wasn't socially as active. He was reclusive.
Oh,
He seemed to feel like he was thirsting for a fight. If someone made fun of him, he usually would just ignore it in past times. But now he would just go. He would lay into them. He would just start a fight. So he was even closer to picking fights than he was before.
Okay. Thank you.
Now this change might have been because of the head injury, but it also could have been because if he was getting angrier and angrier about his home life.
You didn't hear what happened to him? That accident he got into.
He
had a
got
broken
into
nose.
it. Yeah, he had a broken nose. He had a
Broken
fractured
legs.
Are we
skull.
talking about a serial killer or a killer?
Serial
killers.
You know, your shows just are so inviting to learn about people that murdered other people.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna be taking a
Maybe
break
some happy
after.
stuff once in a while.
Yes.
After this
After this one and the next one, then wean go to a more
kidnapping.
kind of pleasant,
Oh, kidnapping!
and then we'll go to Disney
Yeah.
Yay, Disney!
because it's going to be the 70th.
So, he told one of his friends that he was deeply unhappy living in that home, and he couldn't follow their rules anymore.
And the next one.
Just one more, I swear, just one more. You're
Just
right.
one more. We got one more. That's it.
So he told one of his friends he couldn't live in that home and he couldn't follow their rules anymore. And in 1960, Fred met 16-year-old Catherine Costello when the two went to the same dance. She was actually called Rena, and she was staying with her family in the area.
How many nicknames did she have? Think about it. Her name's Rena.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm laughing.
Yeah, her
I'm
name
sorry.
is Rena.
You should not laugh at her name.
Her name is Rena.
But if you think
Did you say Rena or Rena?
no, Rena. No, I'm saying. Okay, you gotta. If you have a name like that, I'm sorry. How many nicknames is she gonna have with that type of
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's Rena who likes to grab the wiener.
name? No, not that. Gonorrhea.
No. So
seen my baseball?
her name was Catherine, and she would go
Yes.
by Rena because the last of Catherine.
Mhm.
So, and the reason I'm kind of defending Rena is because she goes through it.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
names like that. You think about it. How many bad nicknames did she have in school?
She had moved from Scotland because of her defiant attitude and behavior was just too much for her single father.
She's Scottish.
From an early age, Rena was in trouble a lot for petty theft and fighting.
Okay, well that's not allowed.
This meant that she had been shipped around a lot as a child to various family members. To Fred, Rena's life seemed adventurous and exciting. Fred was smitten. But since they got together, their relationship was problematic.
Oh, nice.
Fred was very demanding when it came to sex, and Rena, who hadn't experienced a lot of
Watch.
affection or
Stop
care,
eating things.
she just gave in all the time.
Oh. So she was forced to do something that she wasn't ready to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
The relationship became so intense that Rena took a sewing needle and black ink and tattooed Fred's name on her.
Worst mistake ever. Don't ever do that.
Rena was sent away and she started rooming in Ledbury. So basically, she had been living with family. And the family was like, we can't handle her anymore. And so she was like, fine, I'm going to go stay with a friend in Ledbury. And the two were actually asked to leave the inn they were staying in because they were a lot.
Problematic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rena, because she couldn't find lodging, returned home to Scotland.
No names ever.
And that ended their relationship.
Oh.
With Rena no longer there, Fred turned his attention to the younger girls at the youth center. According to some, Fred was standing on the second floor landing when he grabbed a girl next to him, and in response, she hit him and sent him over the railing, and he fell one floor and hit the ground, hitting his head.
Well, Fred, what did you learn? Obviously nothing.
People again noticed changes in his mannerisms.
You got too many freaking head injuries.
Now noticing anything could set him off.
It's like, dude, that's a second head injury. Come on.
He was essentially a loose wire.
Yeah. It locked a lot of things. God, it knocked a lot of things loose.
Yeah, he had just.
They're like, hey, one head injury.
And this was 1 year after, like, the accident, I think. So.
Well, him having a fractured skull, you gotta be careful with that crap, though. But still, dude, come on.
So in 1961, his behavior was getting worse, and he was directionless. And that caused him to shoplift. And in April, he had to appear in court for it.
So he had no.
So we're going to get into a little bit of a rough topic. Heads up.
Viewer discretion advice.
Yes. On June 3rd, in June, Fred's 13-year-old sister, Kitty, told her mom that Fred had been essaying her for months and she was pregnant.
Oh, snap, crackle pop.
Her mom took her to a doctor and this started an investigation. And shortly after Fred was arrested, Fred didn't understand why people were upset with him. He was belligerent with police, and as the police questioned him on the case, it became clear his attitude towards sex was very abnormal. He acknowledged what he had done. He even said that he had been doing it for years to other young girls. He wasn't ashamed of it. He was just perplexed as to why people were making a big deal about it, saying, doesn't everyone do it?
Okay, well, besides being a pedophile.
Yeah.
He's a pedophile.
I think.
But what do you call those people that it's like if they don't have it?
Impulsive?
Like the impulsive part of them of, oh, I have to have sex, I have to do this, I have to do that. I mean, what do you call it? You lost the necrophilia.
It's not necrophilia.
What do you call? Well, we'll think of it. But it's that.
Nymphomaniac.
Yes,
Start with an N. I knew it started
He's
with
a
an N.
nympho. We'll just. And that's what I'm hearing, just by listening to you. Is he turned into a nympho at a young age, which is.
So this
OCD. I mean, that's part of it too with his grabby. I have to steal this and that because one, he didn't have structure from as a child because you heard it from his parent. You know, his parents weren't really.
His mom coddled him and let him do whatever he wanted.
So he didn't have the
But his dad was a strict disciplinarian.
Yeah.
So it was. His upbringing was like a wild ride.
Compulsive actions. Yeah. It's big time compulsive actions. And when you got one parent that's the disciplinarian and one parent that coddles.
And wait till you hear what happens after this.
Okay.
So this caused most of his family to distance themselves from Fred, some even disowning him completely. He was held briefly in a cell, but he made bail. And since no one wanted him to live at the farm, he went to go live with his aunt. Now here comes the sad part.
Okay. Is there essay?
Kitty became hesitant to talk about what happened on the stand. And when the time came, she refused to testify.
Oh, shit.
The charges were then dismissed. And in 1962, Daisy and Walter West were no longer ashamed and they welcomed him back in the home.
Oh, hell no.
The siblings didn't want him back.
Well, yeah, every right.
So, Rena found Scotland difficult, and she could barely keep herself afloat there. So she had to turn to sex work and petty theft.
Oh.
And in 1952, she returned to England, and the two started dating again. Just before she left Scotland, she got into a relationship with a man, and she had gotten pregnant by that man.
Okay.
When Rena told Fred, he was angry and upset. And not because she was pregnant.
I guess she got into a relationship with someone else, not him.
No, it was
Okay.
because he was racist. The baby would be half Asian,
Okay.
and he did not like Asian people.
I don't like you.
Yeah. He told her she needed to terminate the pregnancy and even tried to do it himself. He tried to do it in the woods in Loughbury.
Wow.
The whole thing drew the police presence, and he was forced to stop. But nothing happened to him after this because Rena didn't tell the police what happened. She just thought it was normal.
No.
The two then decided to get married.
Oh, what are you not learning, Rena?
And the baby was born in November. They were married, and they kept that marriage from their families a secret. Fred moved from his parents' house, and he and Rena got an apartment in Cottbridge, which is 8 to 10 miles outside of Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
The change in scenery was good for Rena, but Fred found it challenging, and he got more irritated and aggravated. He also got more aggressive, with sex in particular. And he wanted it at the most inappropriate times.
Mm-hmm.
His behavior also then turned sadistic, and he forced this sadism on Rena. He became physically abusive, and he was very controlling. And he demanded Rena go back to sex work to provide for them.
Okay.
Yeah. He liked to brag how much money he made by being a pimp. And he would complain about how much trouble her being in sex work caused them.
You told her to go back. You told her to do it.
And
That's your fault.
Yeah. Less than a year into their marriage, his personality was drastically different. He was insatiable and violent and awful. And she could not refuse. And people even saw, like in public, he would slap her in the head and face and would take something minor.
Yeah.
And before, like, it would be something minor, and he would just get physical with her.
Oh,
A narcissist? Yes, to the extreme. He is a narcissist.
big time.
I think it was in March 1963 when she would give birth to a girl named Charlemagne.
Charlemagne, that's a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
That's an actor's name.
Rena was worried the West family wouldn't accept the baby, so she told them that she had miscarried. But they still wanted a child, so they adopted one of Asian descent to take its place.
Okay. I see why she did it, though. She's trying to protect I get it.
Yeah. Fred didn't like this baby because it didn't look like him.
No boo-hoo. You had every chance the first time to be with her. Shut up.
In the years that followed, his abusive behavior got worse. Some neighbors said that, as far as they were concerned, Rena was a single mother.
Well, yeah.
They never saw a man at her place at all. They never saw Fred at their place. This is going to be so... At this point, Fred was driving an ice cream truck.
I will never look at an ice cream truck the same way again. We are never buying ice cream from my ice cream truck because I won't know what's in there.
Wait till you hear what happens.
And I don't want to hear what happens with the ice cream truck. Can we skip that part?
And he spent many nights drinking. In 1964, Rena got pregnant again
Good Lord.
and had a daughter named Anne Marie.
Okay, so wait a minute. None of these kids are his.
No, they're his. Well, Charmaine
Except for
is not his.
Except for Charlemagne.
Anne Marie is his.
Okay, so Charlemagne, which is the Asian baby.
I think it's actually Charmaine. I think I missed.
We're gonna say Charlemagne because I like that name. That's a cool name.
I know. I think it is Charmaine. It's Charmaine.
Charmaine. Okay, I like Charlemagne better. So Charmaine is not his.
Charmaine is not his, but Anne Marie is
But
his.
Anne Marie is his. Okay, I'm sitting there thinking, this woman, you force her to go back into sex trafficking to make the money to support your stupid ass, so you can become an alcoholic, a pedophile, and drive an ice cream truck.
Yeah. We're not even at the part where he's murdering yet.
Yeah, I know.
He hasn't even met.
I'm debating if I want to keep my comment for later.
He hasn't even met Rose yet.
Proceed.
So she got pregnant and had a daughter named Anne Marie. Unlike Charmaine, who he didn't want anything to do with, he doted on Anne Marie, and he would ignore Charmaine while doting on Anne Marie. So he would be like, Anne Marie, you're so great, you're so blah. And Charmaine would be sitting there like, he's going to compliment me next. And he would just ignore her.
So you praise one child and demoralize another.
Yep.
I feel like this case is going to piss me off. Not make me sick or upset me, going to piss me off.
They needed a bigger place, and so they found a house, and it had a large garden. And he kept it raked over, and when neighbors asked, what are you doing with your garden? He would say, I'm keeping it for something special.
Want some ice cream?
He would spend nights in his garden. Well, I mean, remember what I said in the beginning? He buried bodies in his backyard.
Yeah. He's making fertilizer. Oh, okay, that's wrong. Sorry. Wrong.
Oh
Wrong.
my God, Michelle.
Wrong. I mean, would he not say that?
Probably. He would spend nights in his garden, and he would pick up girls on his ice cream route. And he would take them to his garden for sex.
Wow, dude, that's not a date pickup, man. No. We're staying away from ice cream trucks. That's, what is that? Too much human, what did she say?
Too much human fat, damaged plants.
Laugh out loud. Angela knew where I was going.
So yeah, he would pick up girls on his ice cream route. And then, mind you, Charmaine, Rena, and Anne Marie are in the house.
He don't care.
So, I will note that the area got demolished and a highway was built. So they can't dig it up. Want to see my garden? So that house actually got demolished.
Mm-hmm.
And a highway was built, so you can't dig it up and see if there's actually any victims buried there.
Did they get rid of the ice cream truck?
I don't know. So, when they entered 1965, they ended up getting worse.
He has a secret garden.
I don't know how you can get any worse. Actually, I do know how you can get any worse.
Is it wrong that we're laughing? Oh my God.
You have to process.
This is why people are probably like, we're not following these two. They're nuts.
In early 1965, Fred hit a child in the Glasgow area with his ice cream truck.
You're supposed to get them ice cream, not run them over, Fred.
And he left the child on the road. He left the child bleeding and dying.
Oh, that's just, Fred, not nice, Fred.
A crowd gathered and Fred was arrested and questioned, and they released him after determining it was an accident. And the child had been excited to get ice cream and ran into the middle of the road.
Oh, well, that's, could have at least gave him an ice cream. I mean, for God's sakes, you ran his ass over. God, Fred. Fred. This is why they say you ain't right in the head, man.
Despite being cleared, the neighborhood turned on him and he couldn't make any money.
Did they get their pitchforks?
Maybe.
Torches and pitchforks.
So they moved back to England, closer to Fred's family, because he couldn't make any money in Scotland. Because guess what? Everyone knew him as the ice cream truck owner who ran over a kid.
Sorry, kid, here's some ice cream. Wow.
Late in 1965, Fred had multiple affairs going on, not trying to hide it from Rena. So he wasn't home often. But when he was an abusive ass. So Rena was basically raising the kids on her own. When she would get time for herself, which was rare, she would go to a cafe.
Aww.
And that's where she met Isa McNeil, who was a young woman who was kind of friendly with. Now, Isa had just lost her job at a clothing factory. So Rena was like, why don't you come on as a nanny and you can just have room and board as your payment until you sort things out.
That's nice.
It didn't take her long to see the strange behavior and tense dynamic between Fred and Rena. She noted the girls were literally penned in on the bottom bunk of a bunk bed when Fred was home, and was only let out when Fred was gone.
Well, that's messed up, man.
There was also the horrible abuse that Rena was suffering, and he didn't bother to hide it from Issa. Despite this, Issa introduced the West to Anna McFall, who was a teenager that had a history of tragedy and trauma like Rena. Anna had little to no social or familial support around her, and Anna began spending a lot of time at the West residence and became a regular there. After the accident where he hit and killed that little boy, he told her, "We need to move to
Oh, the
England."
kid died?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he died.
Yeah, he killed him.
Wow, you were fucked up, Fred.
After the accident where he hit and killed that little boy, he told her, "We need to move to England and make money again." Rena said, "No, I'm not going with you," but Fred took the girls and returned to Munchmarkle in the summer of 1965.
Wow.
Remember, he hates Charmaine,
Yeah,
but he took Charmaine and Anne-Marie.
because he's trying to get Rena to go with.
Yeah.
He's forcing her to leave, too.
Rena began stressing and missing her children, so she went back to England to live in Fred's parents' house. So Fred and Willow, not Willow. Willow,
Willow's like, what?
So Fred and Rena moved to the Willows. So after they...
I see why you got it mixed up.
Yeah. So they had been living in the house, but the house was super cramped. So they moved to the Willows, which was a caravan site. At first, things seemed to plateau. Rena got a job at a coffee shop, and Fred found work at a trucking company driving trucks. How somebody still let him drive a truck, I don't know.
I wouldn't after he killed a kid with an ice cream truck.
Yeah, that's just me.
That's just messed up.
Their relationship was unstable still. Rena would do and spend a lot of time with family in Glasgow. And in one of these trips, she actually ran into Issa again. So basically, she would work in England and go for long extended weekends to Scotland and then come back. But she couldn't take the girls with her. So that's why she would come back.
I mean, you miss your kids.
Yeah.
Your kids were just forcefully taken by your significant other who wanted you to go with in the first place and you didn't want to.
Yeah.
So what's one way to get a mom to go?
Yeah.
Take the kids.
So she ran into Issa again and I said, "Hey, you want to come back with me to England?" And Issa said, "Sure," and brought Anna with her. Issa and Rena regretted that decision immediately. With 4 adults and 2 children, it was making everything so much worse. The tensions were higher. Whenever they're higher than ever. Issa and Anna were city girls, and they were living in a rural area, and they couldn't find jobs. So they spent a lot of time watching the girls doing nothing.
Yeah.
Everything got so tense and awful that Rena, I wrote texted. She didn't text. There's no such thing as text at this time. She wrote a letter to her ex-boyfriend and told him to get Issa and Anna, and he agreed. They actually made a plan to do it while Fred was at work, and they were also going to take the 2 kids as well.
Okay.
Strangely, Fred came home earlier than expected, and it
Surprise.
blew up. Howard Sooms, someone who has done research on these 2 people, think that Anna told Fred a couple days before what was going to happen.
Oh, wow. Well, because Anna was his favorite.
No, so Anna was Anna McFall,
Oh, okay.
the teenager
I'm missing
that
it.
moved in with them.
Oh, okay. I'm mixing up the...
Yeah. Mind you, she's still a
Here
teenager.
comes Willow, folks. Come here. What are you doing? Willow. Come here. Come here.
So, mind you, Anna McFall is still a teenager at this point in time.
Yeah.
And Fred is a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. See, Willow agrees.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Again,
Issa
Willow.
and the ex started to believe also that Anna had told him. And that was because in recent weeks, the
Yeah.
2 had getting closer to each other.
Stop.
Fred refused to let the kids go, and Anna very calmly said she was going to stay on as Fred's nanny. And that Rena, Issa, and Rena's ex could go.
Willow, come here. She's trying to help you. Make sure it's close enough. Willow, come here.
Willow, come here.
Come here. No, don't mess with that. Stop it. Stop. Come here. Come here. Come here. Well, come here.
So,
You got to stay out of the way. Pumpkin butt.
so Rena's ex helped finish packing, and they all left.
Lay down. Good job.
It was only later when everything clicked. In letters, Anna wrote Isa. She wrote that she was infatuated with Fred, and they had been having an affair when Rena was gone.
You can have him.
Anna had led a troubled life and naively believed that Fred would give her a better life.
Nope.
She even wrote to her mother that her and Fred were getting married, ignoring the fact that Fred was already married.
Nope. Nope. Come on now. Nope, don't push that off. Stop.
So she was ignoring that Fred was already married to Rena.
Nope. Okay.
So while not sure if he was actually going to marry her or just make it look like he was going to marry her, we weren't sure. After Rena left with Isa, Fred placed both of his children, get this, in social services in 1966. So he said, no, you can't take the kids, and then proceeded to drop his kids off in social services.
What a... Yeah.
Ass.
Yeah.
She returned to England to get her children, and she moved into a nearby caravan park. She was happy to have her kids, and she was surprised.
So social service gave her the kids.
I guess at this time there was this thing where you could, like, give your kids to them and keep them in a program where they could go back and forth between your house and...
Yeah.
I guess there was something at this time in England's history. I'm not sure exactly how this happened. She was happy to have her kids, but she was surprised that she was irritated and jealous of Fred's relationship with Anna.
And I wouldn't be. I'd be like, here, you can have them.
For
I'll sign
near-
the divorce papers.
For nearly a year... For nearly a year, Rena, Fred, and Anna were in a love triangle. But it wasn't actually a love triangle. It was more like Fred was trying to get them both to love him, but turn on each other.
Hi.
So Fred was like, love me, but hate each other.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. Which is narcissism in its highest degree.
Yes.
So
Okay, you're distracting, Willow. Stop.
Anna finally had enough of all of this drama, and she actually moved out. So Rena split her time between the caravan park and Glasgow. And then things got really bad when Anna announced she was pregnant with Fred's child.
Jesus.
Mind you, she was still nannying the children of Rena and Fred. So for her, this was her way to convince Fred to divorce Rena and marry her instead.
Yep.
Fred didn't want to marry Anna because he didn't want her. He only wanted Rena.
He used her, in other words.
And he was actually worried that when Rena found out that he had knocked up Anna, that Rena would leave him.
I'd leave him. I would. Okay. What are you doing?
So that April, very pregnant, Anna McFall went missing from the caravan park,
Oh, that's not
and
good.
she was never seen again.
Oops.
She was never reported missing, and because of that, no one investigated it when she disappeared. It was after the coward Fred was arrested in 1994 would we find out the whereabouts of Anna. Through multiple interviews, he denied killing Anna, but he had no problem directing the police to a cornfield where she was buried. He couldn't have known that unless he was there when she was buried or when she was killed.
And this is Anna?
Yeah.
Wow.
The police could not say with conclusivity that he had killed her because there was no evidence. There was rumors, though, that he had actually confessed to cellmates of
Yeah.
killing Anna.
I don't think Willow likes the story either.
Yeah.
That's why she's all fidgety.
So there are stories that he confessed to his cellmates.
Yeah. Me support, baby.
Telling them he stabbed her one evening after they got into an argument. Despite giving a general area, it took 2 months to find Anna.
Jeez.
When they found her burial spot, 27 years after she was killed, She was just bones.
It took him that long to find her?
Mhm.
27 years.
Yeah.
Wow, he stuck her somewhere good.
Well, no, because so he had killed her in 1960 something,
Uh-huh.
and they did not bring up her body until 1994.
Oh, wow, okay.
They didn't even know she was missing until 1994
How do you not know someone's missing?
because she literally lived such a troubled life. That is why.
Regardless if she lives such a troubled life or not, you gotta keep track of people. Come on.
Yeah. So she was just bones, as were the remains of their unborn child.
That's sad.
The body had been dismembered, and there was a
Ass.
dressing gown cord wrapped around her neck and wrist and tied under her ribs, so they could see where it had been tied.
Yeah.
And they also found by the body was 2 large bags full of bloody clothing and what was either a curtain or bedsheet. Absent from the body were tiny hand and foot bones, but no one could tell where they went or why they weren't there. So, like, you know how there's tiny bones in your fingers and in your feet? Some of them were missing. And they couldn't figure out why.
Fred keep them as
We'll find out that that's actually pretty common for his victims.
souvenirs.
I guess. So, which brings the question, did he torture her? In the weeks after she disappeared, Fred's neighbors, co-workers, and acquaintances noted he had gotten more irritable and aggressive.
Yeah.
That changed when Rena came back. Happy to hear Fred and Anna's relationship had ended. She moved back in with him, and they removed them completely from social services. And basically, Rena looked at this as a starting point and thought, finally, we could be a family. Now, not long after this, Fred found a new job at a grain mill nearby.
In his garden. Yeah. Well, she said,
I know you don't like this story.
"Come here." Not the pizza.
Not the pizza.
Willow, come here. Come here. I'm sorry, guys. She's clingy to me because I'm sitting here. Huh.
He was staying, so Fred was staying all night at pubs or bars, specifically a pub called the Popping Cafe, which was a seedy bar that attracted the wrong crowd. And this is probably where Fred met 15-year-old waitress
Nope.
Mary Bathsome.
Nope.
On January 6, 1968,
And if you think about it, 1968 and the date, you add 22 days to that John be born.
Mary had plans to meet her boyfriend, Tim Merritt, who lived 5 miles from her home, and she was last seen waiting for her bus at 7:15 p.m. on Bristol Road. Waiting at the bus stop on the other end, her boyfriend was waiting, and he was surprised when Mary didn't get off. And when the second bus came and she wasn't on it either, he grew really concerned. And he had a friend drive him to Mary's house, and he was shocked that no one had seen her. The disappearance was out of character. So Tim immediately called the police and reported her missing. But I'm just going to say, policing was very different at the time.
Right.
Police usually went with the idea that they were a runaway when it came to missing teenage girls. But in this instance, I will say they did a good job. They took it seriously. And it might have been because everyone in her life was saying this was not like Mary. Chief Constable H.D.J. Smith said, "We are very concerned for the girl." It also helped her case because several girls had been assaulted throughout the years, and they thought it might be the same person. So 125 officers combed the city, but there were no clues or leads, and at this point, they called Scotland Yard. Many people started the rumor that this had been moved on to a murder case. Chief Inspector Kenneth Barker was saying it's a kidnapping investigation still, but it can change at a moment's notice. And I would rather them be in this before it gets to that.
Yeah.
They also used military search and rescue helicopters. And after 2 weeks, the police either believed she was dead or that maybe she had run away and that's why they couldn't find her. Sadly, Mary's body would never be found. And in 1998, Fred's son came out, his son being Stephen West, told reporters that he was convinced that Fred had killed Mary Basshome because apparently Fred had bragged about it in prison and how her body and others would never be found.
Oh, wow. Yeah, let's sit there in prison and brag about something that you did, because, you know, that's smart.
Yeah. When Fred's son asked specifically about Mary, Fred said they would never find her body. Following his arrest, Fred made hints to other murders, but was super vague and never gave details or names. Fred's defense attorney even went to the police after everything happened, and said that Fred had confessed to picking up Mary at the bus stop the night she went missing. He then said after killing her, he buried her in the village of Bishop's Cleeve near Chuttingham. And while this is consistent with other people's renditions, it is so vague because you can't dig up a whole village. Ugh. And so Mary Basshome remains missing to this day.
Wow.
In the years after Mary's disappearance, Fred just spiraled down and was arrested for petty theft and minor offenses. He was fired from his job because the owners thought he was stealing money. He got a job for a short period of time in driving a septic tank truck.
Oh, come here. Come here.
And a full-time position delivering a... I'm gonna tell you something really sad.
Okay.
You're not gonna like it. He also had a full-time position delivering a bakery's goods.
I don't want to know what he did with the bakery. I don't want to know what he did with the goods.
And
Sorry,
it was
everybody.
through this job that Fred met Rose West. Oh.
I'm sorry, guys. My other baby. She's my other baby. I'm sorry.
So Fred has met Rose, and now we're going to discuss who Rose West is.
Hi, honey. Yeah, it's okay. Oh, yeah, don't go that way. It's okay. She doesn't like ceiling fans. And so because we're sitting right under the ceiling fan, that's why she's freaking out. I don't know if something happened to her when she was a kitten before we got her from some people.
Yeah.
Sorry, John's daughter had found her. So we don't know if it was just wherever she was at.
Yeah.
Like if she lived in a house and they were mean and put her up by the sofa, she can't stand ceiling fans. And they all have to be on. The only one that's not on in our house is the one that's above our head. So that's why she panicked.
So Rez, ugh, that's not her name.
We're having a great day.
I'm having a great day.
Names. So Rose.
Rose was also called Rosemary,
Okay.
but her full name was Rosemary Pauline Lutz. And she was born in Northam, Devon, England on November 29th, 1953. And her parents were Bill and Daisy Lutz. Reminder, Fred's mom's name was also Daisy. Both of their moms' names were Daisy.
Well, let's hear more.
I make a joke in this that what I wrote down that is almost like Superman versus Batman, where they're like, my mom's name is Martha.
Right? Word much? Yes, word much.
When Rose was younger and still going to school, she was described as remarkably unintelligent. And
Perfect
even
match.
earned herself the nickname Dozy Rosie.
Why doesn't Fred have a nickname? Fred needs a nickname.
And her brother also said she was as thick as 2 planks.
Good God. So here's Fred, who's just sick, sadistic narcissist. God, a narcissist who's sick and twisted. Then you got poor Rose over here, that Dozy Rosie, and she's this kid. Lord, okay, I'm sorry. I feel bad for them because their family thought they treated them like they were stupid. Okay, that's not nice to treat your kids that way. So I feel bad for that part. So I see where you were saying, and
you
you were
feel
telling
bad
me
for the child, but you don't feel bad for the adult.
Yes. So I now see what you're saying is they were treated like they're stupid, and they're illiterate and all that fun jazz.
Well, after her arrest, her siblings came out and said Rosie was engagingly stupid, dense, naive, and lazy.
Why? That's just hard.
So you can kind of see that her childhood was filled with ridicule, and there wasn't a lot of affection or caring.
Which in Fred's, there was a little bit too much caring.
Exactly. She also had a stunted social and intellectual development.
That's a long word there for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Which, as much as I don't want to make her a
Being
victim,
treated that way didn't help their adult self to actually be.
it'd be good. Exactly.
Be a good
And I
human, yeah.
don't want to make her a victim because in this case, she is most certainly not a victim.
Right.
She is as much a perpetrator as Fred.
Well, like you said,
You can feel bad for the child,
just
but not the adult.
Not the adult, not the human, not the adult. Because that's
So it was most likely because of this,
Excuse me.
she was attracted to Fred West. In 1969, she was 15 years old. Now, I've said a lot about Fred at this point, but he was 27 at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's 15, he's 27.
12-year difference.
She's still a
No.
minor. 12-year difference. Yeah. So he had been, so mind you, he had been through this much and he's 27. Yeah. This is a lot. So Rose was working at a tea shop around Bishop's Cleeve, not far from Fred and where Fred and his wife Rena lived. One night while she was waiting for bus after work,
BRB.
Fred came up to her. I will tell you for future reference. Remember bus stops. Mary was at a bus stop. Rose was at a bus stop.
So why can't we just call him the bus stop killer?
Because he didn't always get him from a bus stop.
Okay, fine.
When Fred approached her, he started to try and start small talk. And she ignored him at first. Most likely because she thought he was creepy.
Said every woman past tense there.
Rose
Did he come across?
admitted that she thought he looked filthy, unkempt, and he was just really gross. She also admitted that he was lewd and crude and not really attractive.
So, not going from being stupid and dumb to unattractive, creepy, lewd, rude.
Yeah, and she's saying this about her future husband. I'm just stating.
Well, she wants to get it out of her system now.
She should have stayed away and followed her instincts, but, you know.
She, just like her family says she's dumb.
When you find out everything later on, you realize, so you know the idea that the monster in me sees the monster in you.
Mm-hmm. I've heard
It's
that.
almost like Rose saw the monster in him and it recognized the monster in herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Rose would describe the experience to a classmate, saying that Fred had a leering smile and his smile was ganky and green. Yeah, if you look up photos of Fred West, he's ugly as hell.
Let's not.
He continued to go to that bus stop when she would be waiting, and eventually this won her over.
Stalker.
Yeah, exactly. I even put, for one of the reasons she might have actually given in, I would have called the cops for him being a stalker, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
She had no friends, and she was only used to negative attention from her family. So here's this guy, for all intents and purposes, is giving her nothing but affection and attention, and none of it's negative. She took it as a positive, and she took it and ran. Rose admitted that she found his attention flattering. Now, I'm going to describe the attention, and it's not good, because remember, she is 15.
Ah, mama. Yeah.
She said that the attention that he was giving her was inherently sexual. And that actually excited her.
Yeah. Wow.
And not to diminish it, it was more like someone wants me so bad and I'm flattered by that. That's essentially was her mindset at the time.
Okay.
And also remember, he'd been grooming girls since he was a teenager. And so he groomed them into believing that these crude comments were actually flattery. But unlike them, Rose took no time to be groomed, and she readily welcomed the behavior, which was kind of shocking to Fred because in the past, he would have to groom them. But in this case, he didn't have to.
Taunting.
And he punched off the, last time he didn't groom them, he was punched off the second floor.
That's still kind of funny though.
It is still kind of funny.
It's like, dude, you didn't, yeah.
But to Rose, this was also like a game. This man was paying attention to her, and he wanted her. And Rose's brother even came out and said that Rose's idea of being grown was to date an older man.
Oh yeah, because that was the end thing back then.
Now you may wonder, did Fred ever tell Rose that he was married? And the answer is, he actually did.
I was going to say, why would he? Why would he want to tell her?
And she didn't care.
Wow. Okay.
Fred also did tell her that Rena had left home with 2 small kids and she was a sex worker in Glasgow.
She was a sex worker because you told her to go back to it.
But as we know, Fred is a liar. In actuality, Rena was visiting family in Glasgow. Rose freaked out and admitted she loved kids. And the fact that Fred had 2 kids somehow made Fred even more attractive to her. And that could be because she thought she could play mom for a little bit or whatever. So at this point, Rose starts, so she's like, you got 2 kids, your wife's in Glasgow.
Glasgow?
You're so attractive. I'll start watching your kids.
How much
And
did
we
she
can get closer to each other.
How much did she have to drink when she was at the bus stop?
She didn't have anything to drink. That's the messed up part. So at this point, Rose starts lying to her parents, saying she got a job as a cleaner. But in actuality, she was spending all of her time with Fred. And the one time that she tried to introduce Fred to her family, they hated the man on sight.
He's how old?
27. I think at this point he was 28.
She is how old? 16 probably?
15.
15, 16?
They didn't realize that he was 27 and actually thought he was a lot older. And Rose's parents demanded that she stop seeing this man. But there wasn't much they could do because she had agreed to be a full-time work nanny to Fred and Rena's kids. So now Rose's parents, being the OGs they are, called the police, as someone should have.
Yeah.
When said she was having a relationship with an adult. And they said to the police that she was having a sexual relationship with an adult and that she might be being forced into sex work. The report prompted an investigation, and in the summer of 1969, Rose was removed from her home and placed in a home for troubled girls, which at the time was like a prison. Despite this, Rose kept seeing Fred. She would sneak out, especially on nights where she knew Rena wasn't home.
I was going to say, she's going to find ways to get to him because that ain't going to stop
Yeah.
her. She's infatuated with the man.
Yeah. While all of this was going on, Rena acted as she had when Fred was having an affair with Anna, and that was bouncing between Gloucester and Glasgow, with little naivety about what was going on. In November of 1969, Rose turned 16, and she was removed from the girls' home, and she moved back in with her parents for a couple of months, before doing what you think she's about to do.
You dumb?
She moved into an apartment with Fred, and he started renting after he placed his children in social services again.
Okay.
Bill and Daisy tried to convince their daughter that the relationship was bad, and she needed to end the relationship. When she said no, they called the police again and filed a report. So at this time, investigators arranged for Rose to be examined by a doctor. And in February 1970, everyone learned that Rose was pregnant with Fred's baby. Now, because she was pregnant and she refused to leave Fred, Rose was placed in another troubled girls' home. And after a month, Rose was released after agreeing to terminate the pregnancy. But instead of moving back home, she moved in with Fred. After all of this, Rose's parents told her that if she continues this relationship, she was no longer welcome in their home.
I mean, you kind of put yourself there, Rose.
In October of 1970, Rose gave birth to a girl she called Heather. Sadly, she couldn't revel in the moment because a couple months later, Fred was arrested for stealing and selling auto parts. Of course, he blamed it on Rena, But he was sentenced to 8 months in prison. So this sentence ruined the perfect fantasy that Rose had created. And at 17 years old, Rose was a single mother of 3. Remember how I said she loved children after this? Remember how I said she loved children?
Mm-hmm.
After this, she didn't. Because now the children relied on her solely for 24/7. Plus, she had to stay and she couldn't pop in and out like she had before. And she also had no support system. She had no friends, and her family had essentially disowned her.
So the 3 kids are the 3 kids that her and Fred had?
So
or is it Fred's 2 previous?
Charmaine, Anne-Marie, and
then this
Heather.
one? Okay. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So she found motherhood to be super difficult. Now,
Oh,
Rose
why would you
viewed
give
the
that clue?
children differently. She said Anne-Marie was very quiet, very easy, and also very docile.
Okay.
I don't like that word docile used with kids. I don't like that word. And on the other hand, she described Charmaine as willful and defiant. Now, I'm just going to put my 2 cents in this. Maybe because her dad treated her awful.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, who is this woman? Because she, remember, had lived with Rena.
Mm-hmm.
Rena and Issa. Then Anna.
Mm-hmm.
She had been through a bunch of women. And so now Rose is just another person added to that list. So Rose and Charmaine clashed a lot, and Rose would get upset and tell Fred, and Fred would deal with it. But when Fred went to prison, she realized motherhood was not for her. And when Charmaine acted out, she started to use physical means to punish her. Neighbors remember seeing Rose berate Charmaine, but also saw evidence of abuse on Charmaine's body. I'm going to tell you something heartbreaking. No matter what Rose did, Charmaine refused to cry. Now at this point she was 8, and she felt that if she cried, she would be giving in.
Okay.
And that, for some messed up reason, made Rose even angrier. That she refused to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And in March of 1971, just days after her birthday, Rose took her to Gloucester Royal Hospital due to a rather serious puncture wound on her leg. Rose said it was an accident, and we don't know what actually caused it.
That's called abuse, Rose.
Yeah.
You
Now
did
in
it, Rose.
now in May, Rose sent a letter to Fred saying that Charmaine's defiant nature was spreading to Anne-Marie. And there were several letters that she vented her frustration. But when the 4 of them would go to prison to visit Fred, they would act as if they were some big happy family. Now on June 15th's visit to Fred, Rose was so excited to hear that Fred was going to get paroled. And the following week and 5 days later, Charmaine went missing. She was 8 at the time.
Okay.
During her trial, the prosecutor said there was clear evidence that Charmaine was disliked by Rose and that she was abusive to her, as we can see. And told the story like this. And this is the closest we will get to the truth because Rose won't admit what she did.
Yeah.
One afternoon before Fred returned, Anne-Marie came home from school and saw that Rose was not home and Charmaine was not home. Saw that Rose was home and not Charmaine. And Anne-Marie asked where her sister was, and Rose responded that Charmaine had gone to live with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
The prosecutors believe that Rose lost her temper with Charmaine and accidentally killed her. Now you may be asking, what happened with Rena? And I'm going to get to that shortly. Although Rena had been out of the picture for a while, she was very anxious about the welfare of her children and would frequently check in with Fred's family. And they would give her details because she was being pushed out. By the summer of 1971, Rena got anxious and alarmed that Fred's family couldn't give her any information on the well-being of her children. So she went to Fred and Rose's apartment and demanded to get her children back. It was sometime in late August. When she showed up at Fred's door, and he just refused to let her see the girls. And she threatened to go to Walter for help. And then that's when he said, sure. Really? Willow.
Hey, you gotta come over here, Willow. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Nasty. Come here.
So,
what is it? ASMR
Yeah.
cat.
Yeah.
Come on, lay down.
So he agreed to take Rena to see Charmaine. Now, like his earlier crimes, Fred denied playing any part of Rena's murder, but he said he buried her. So
he killed,
again,
he killed Rena.
we're gonna get to that. Police believe that Rena got into Fred's car, believing he was going to take her to see Charmaine. But instead, he drove her to a local pub where he got her really drunk. And now we can only assume that because of how her remains are, we assume Fred left the bar with Rena, who was too drunk to put up any sort of fight. And then he strangled her and dismembered her body, placed her remains in 2 plastic bags that he buried in a field, the same field he buried Anna.
Oh, wow.
When she was exhumed, they also discovered a chromium pipe and a child's plastic boomerang. Because too much time and Fred refusing to take accountability, they could never link him to the crime.
Of course.
Now, no one came looking for Rena or even noticed she was gone. Just like Anna McFall. With Charmaine and Rena gone, Rose and Fred were free to bond over the fact that they had both killed people. And they had shared secrets. And since Rena was dead, that meant that Fred could marry Rose. And they started their family after killing 2 previous members. The true victim, though, was Anne Marie, who was asking for her, not just asking for her sister, but also her mother. Fred seems to have realized that women tend to recoil from the things he liked in the bedroom, but with Rose, he found a kindred spirit, so that made him even more attracted to her. And now again, she is 17. And at this point, she could have just been groomed to go along with anything he was saying. But I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
But I will say there is solid evidence that Rose enjoyed it as much as he did. Now, Fred wasn't shy about his extreme interests because I don't want to call it a fetish or a kink. Because those require consent from both parties. And he's not a consent kind of guy.
Nope. He just takes and... He just takes.
Honestly, it's possible he got enjoyment from the fact that people would find his interests as unacceptable. And he liked the fact that people would find it unacceptable. But with Rose, he found out someone liked him.
Low battery.
Ooh.
Sorry.
But with Rose, he found that someone was not grossed out by what he liked.
Sorry, guys. Give me just a second. I gotta plug you in because
The phone's about to die.
the phone's about to die, so I don't want to lose you. There's that. Go ahead, grab the plug in.
I'm good. I'm waiting. Because now we're going to get into the marriage of Fred and Rose West. Yeah, it's because you got a mango smoothie.
Yeah, I did. By the way, from Dutch Bros, and it's really good. All right. We vibing there? Are we charging? I can't tell if we're charging, so.
I can't tell if you're charging either.
There we go. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to knock it over like that. I was trying to put this up here. My bad. Hang on. Bring it up somewhere. Is that better? There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Take a nap.
So, now we're getting into the horribleness that is Fred and Rose West. They were married on January 29th, 1972. And they were married in a small ceremony office with only Fred's brother John to be a witness. Not a lot of people were made aware of the fact that they got married. And that might be because he was still technically married to Rena, even though he killed her. Because no one knew she was dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not looking for her either.
Now, if you're asking, how come no one asked where Charmaine or Rena was? Fred would tell people that Rena took Charmaine and ran away and he doesn't know where they are.
Of course he would.
So, a few months after they got married, Rose got pregnant again. And they both decided that since they were having a bigger family, they were going to need a bigger place. This place would eventually become known as 25 Cromwell Street, where a majority of the murders took place.
Wow.
Now, if you wanted to take a look-sees at the house, they tore it down.
Oh,
It is
jeez.
no longer standing.
Did they have previous videos?
They
photos?
do have previous videos of what the house looked like, and I will tell you, it looks horrendous on the inside.
Oh, really?
I will get into a little bit of what the police found in the house at the end of it,
Yeah.
but like the bedroom was open for anybody to see.
Like no doors or nothing?
No doors, no nothing. Like the walls were like fake walls, and there was like recording devices in the walls. There was peeping Tom windows for people to look in. Yeah, it was a messed up house.
Well, apparently. That's just, okay.
I would also hate to think about the hauntings in that place.
Well, they tore it down so we wouldn't know.
Yeah. But also, because they had to tear it down also because they needed to look at the foundation. Because they had to dig up the foundation too. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, in order to supplement income, because Rose couldn't hold down jobs and neither could Fred, they decided to rent out rooms to boarders. Now, typically when you rented out rooms, they would have access to the major living areas, like the living room, kitchen, and other stuff. But Fred didn't want them in the main areas. So he actually took the third floor, added a kitchen and a bathroom, so that the people renting the rooms on the third floor
Would stay there.
wouldn't use the West Main's areas. Now, I did find out, though, that if they wanted to leave the house through the front door, they would have to go down the stairs, which meant walking down the West Main spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so the West demanded that the lodgers would get permission before going down the stairs.
Okay.
And sometimes they were denied access.
What are they supposed to do? Climb out the window?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now back into the story. The area they lived was a college town almost, so it wasn't long until they found renters. And in spring of 1972, 18-year-old Benjamin Stanfield moved into the West home, and he shared a room with his friend Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Now Fred and Rose began testing the boundaries of these young men, and that is something that is really common with them. They would push boundaries pretty regularly. Someone would come in and they would test the boundaries, see how forward they would go. And if the person made it clear that what their boundaries were, Fred and Rose West would push and push and push. So the boundaries started to get pushed when Rose would sneak into the boys' room not long after they moved in and would start sleeping with them
Oh, wow.
when they were asleep. Yeah. She said it was consensual.
Okay.
She said even Benjamin had said that he talked to Fred about it, and Fred was okay with it.
Okay.
Now, at this time, Benjamin was living there. He was 18, and he started dating a 17-year-old named Linda Goff. Like many women in the story, she had a troubled childhood, and also probably had an intellectual disability. So much she actually had to attend a school for those with learning disabilities.
Okay.
When she was in her mid-teens, she became defiant, and at 16, she dropped out of school, and she ended up working as a seamstress at a local dress shop. Linda's mother later said it became clear to us what she did was her business. It was through Benjamin that Linda met Fred and Rose a few months prior. Mm-hmm. Fred's son, Stephen, I don't know where Stephen came from. I'm going to be honest. I don't know where Stephen came from.
Yeah, he's popped in a couple. No, he hasn't popped in at all. Is this the first time he's popped in?
Yeah,
there?
this is like we don't even know when he's born. He just
that's
appears. It could be Kitty's son
Yeah.
because Kitty had a kid, but I don't know. Stephen came to live with them. Don't know where the son came from. And since Rose was really pregnant too, she couldn't keep up with 3 kids. And in June, she gave birth to Mae West. That made the total of children in the house 4. Now, Fred and Rose asked Linda if she wanted to be their full-time nanny, and she unfortunately accepted. Now, Fred and Rose had committed a violent assault and murder prior to 1972, but those were more opportunistic or what they called accidental. While Fred and Rose began exploring their interests with others, some with consent, others without, there was a blurring of the boundaries on occasion. And I also find it funny, their argument was that everyone wanted to sleep with them. And I'm going to tell you this, they were not attractive. No one wanted to sleep with them.
Poor people. God. They're either butt ugly, downright just not have no brains upstairs.
Or
Being
both.
Or both, or just being demoralized by others. But jeez.
So, by the end of 1972, they started down the path there was no return from. In November 1972, Fred and Rose were on their way to a pub when they saw a woman hitchhiking on the road. Fred pulled up the car and asked 17-year-old Caroline Owens where she was going. And she said about 25 miles the opposite direction. Fred said, "Come on, we can give you a ride," and she accepted. I will say, they used little things to their advantage. Like a baby seat in the back. The fact that Rose was there. And sometimes even their children was in the car. As they drove, they talked to Caroline, and she told them she was one of 15.
She what?
That's why I paused. She was one of 15.
What, did her parents not have a TV?
Probably not.
Damn.
And she hated living at home. And she didn't like her stepfather, and she was really unhappy. And she started to look for a new job in a new place. So,
God.
without a shred of hesitation, Fred and Rose said they needed a nanny for their children. And remember, they gave that job to Linda?
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. Linda's
Yeah.
the babysitter.
They offered the job to Caroline and said that she'll think it over. And after a few days, she called them back and said, "I'll actually take that job." Almost immediately, Caroline was like, "What is happening?" So when Caroline finally moved into the house, because she was a live-in nanny, she was like, "What is happening?"
And you know what?
She
I'm
didn't-
noticing something. And yes, it probably took me a minute to figure this out, and everybody else already knew it. But like you said, they like to play on little things, right?
Mm-hmm.
They like to play on people's livelihood, their
Bad childhood.
bad childhood, their tragedy that they're going through. Them sitting there saying, "Oh, I don't like living where I'm living. I don't like my stepdad." Da, 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 da. I don't care how much I would hate my living situation and where I ain't telling you nothing.
Yeah, because also if you look at them, I don't know why people open up to them. They look ugly and evil as hell. I
Because
kid you not.
it's one of those like, okay, women just don't tell people your stuff.
Mm-mm.
Your best friend, yes, because you can trust your best friend. You can trust your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell random strangers because they'll use it against you.
Yep.
Have you met Fred and Rose? Just saying.
So, Caroline was like, "What is happening?" She didn't have her own room. She was sharing with Anne Marie.
The daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's so many names.
Yeah.
I have a hard time keeping up with who's what. And, who's
She
who.
even noted that the West children were great, but Anna was very sad. And she said Anna was withdrawn when Fred and Rose were around.
Well,
But she claimed the most horrifying thing was that Rose would intentionally invade her privacy.
well, I mean, okay, Anna Marie's shutting down because her sister's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom is gone.
Mm-hmm.
She's what, the only one left?
And
And
the
she's-
originals, yeah.
She's asking where her family members are at. Fred's all, oh, they took off.
Without her. So she thinks her family abandoned her.
So she's.
But maybe not. Maybe she knew exactly who he was.
Maybe she didn't at that moment. Maybe
Well,
when she grew up, got older.
well,
Learned.
I'll tell you.
I'm always jumping ahead.
Yeah.
Or thinking ahead of, well, maybe she did this, and this.
Because, so remember how I said Rose would invade her privacy?
Mhm.
Like, she would walk into the bathroom when she was taking a shower or going to the bathroom. Rose would intentionally enter.
But this is the house that didn't have doors, right?
No, this one, the main bedroom didn't have doors.
Oh, so their bedroom didn't
Their
have doors.
bedroom didn't have doors. They also had a seedy, like, hotel-style setup in their house, where it was, like, a room where you, like, waited for a hotel. And that was because, as we learn, Rose goes into sex work for Fred again. Mm. So, Rose would touch Caroline's leg while they talked. And, like, many of their victims, they were seeing how far they could go. And Fred was alone with Caroline. He would talk about sex in crude and aggressive ways. And he would reel some really unsavory things to her and then just backtrack it immediately. She said she disliked Fred and felt threatened by Fred, and that Rose was just weirding her out. She said that he took pleasure in making her feel uncomfortable. And then Rose increasingly aggressive sexual touching. She said, I'm done. She said, I'm out. After a couple weeks, she said, no more.
I don't blame her.
Now, Caroline leaving was a disappointment to Rose, who developed a strong attraction to her. And she was angry she felt jilted.
Okay.
She told Fred that if Caroline didn't want to have sex with her willingly, they were going to force her. Yeah. So the couple came up with a plan that they were going to kidnap Caroline and bring her back to the house. And on December 6th, they put it into action.
Good God.
They drove around Gloucester all morning tracking Caroline. And after 10 p.m., when Caroline was hitchhiking a ride from her boyfriend's house, Fred and Rose pulled up and offered her a ride.
You should have stayed at your boyfriend's house.
Caroline thought, they are weirding me out, but I have never felt like I was in danger. And then this is also heads up, this is going to get wild.
How have you not ever felt like you were in danger with the way they were talking?
So she got into the car because it was late and cold. It wasn't long after she got in the car that Fred and Rose steered the conversation to sex.
Oh my God.
And Fred asked Caroline if she had sex with her boyfriend, and she refused to answer.
Which is none of your damn business.
And when she looked around, she realized they weren't headed to her house. And then Rose started trying to touch her, and Caroline kept telling her to stop. Now the panic she felt turned to pure fear when she realized that Fred had parked the car in an empty field far from the city center. And that's when Rose began attacking her. And she said it looked like Rose had just become animalistic at that point. Fred then turned to her, looked at her and called her a bitch and started to repeatedly punch her in the face until she lost consciousness.
Oh, jeez.
When she came back to, her hands were tied behind her back and Rose was wrapping brown packing tape around her head. Which, I'm pausing this story because that's pretty specific MO. That doesn't just come out of nowhere. You have to lead up to that.
She sounds like one of those people that, a dominatrix?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that right?
But even then, again, that requires consent. This is just sadism.
Yeah, that poor girl.
Yeah. So she started to panic. Fred started the car, took her to 25 Cromwell Street, where their children were.
Okay.
And the kids could have seen her carried in. But I digress. They spent the evening torturing and terrorizing and violently assaulting her.
Yeah.
When the night ended, they acted like nothing happened.
What?
A little bit. Well, I'm on page 13.
No, you're on 15.
Yeah, I'm on 15.
She got 2 more pages.
Okay.
Why?
You go to the store.
Why?
Do we have hot dogs?
No.
No.
Do we have hot dog buns?
No.
You go to the store.
Okay.
Okay.
You're gonna get chili too?
No.
No.
Okay.
Cheese hot dog.
Okay.
Okay.
Justin is describing food. Yeah,
Okay.
let her get through this last bit and then the last 2 pages, and we'll go to the store. Okay. We're almost
So-
done. Child's getting hungry.
Yeah. So they spent the evening torturing her and violently assaulting her. And when the night ended, they acted like nothing happened. They took the tape off her head. And that's when Fred said, Rose gets like this when she's pregnant.
Okay, so, I mean, we do get hormonal, but I don't think we get, I don't know. I'm not Rose.
Now, Caroline is an OG. And I don't know how she managed to do this.
What she did.
She played along in hopes to escape.
I'm excited of what she did. What'd she do?
She played along.
Okay.
She went as far as helping them clean the house after everything. And after she cleaned, she played with Heather and Anna.
Mm-hmm.
She also told Fred and Rose that she would love to return as their nanny.
Okay.
She then followed them into the car. They went to a laundromat, and as soon as they parked, Caroline saw the opportunity. She jumped out and yelled, "I'll see you tomorrow," and just ran.
Not. I will not see you tomorrow.
When she
Wow.
got home, Caroline's mom knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And obviously because there were cuts and bruises on her arms and legs
Of
too.
course, because of what Rose did.
And Caroline remembered that Fred said that if you tell anyone, I will kill you. She was reluctant to tell her mom, but she eventually did. And so her mom reported the assaults to the police. And when the police arrived at the doorstep of Fred and Rose West a few days later, they were met with denials and defiance. It was one person's word versus another. And Rose felt confident that nothing could come of the accusation, and even gave the police permission to search her car. Now, the police found a button from Caroline's coat and a used roll of packing tape. The Wests were brought in for questioning.
Oops, she didn't clean very well. Or hear me out. She helped them clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
She helps them clean.
Mm-hmm.
You catch my drift?
Yeah.
Air quotes.
So,
She left a few things behind.
So the Wests were brought in for questioning. Fred and Rose were brought in for questioning. And guess what the two did?
Deny everything.
They admitted to it.
What is wrong with these people? Usually they deny it all. Not okay, yeah, I did that. What kind of a story is this? This is like a little bit of a roller coaster. You're like, they ain't gonna tell no one. Like, oh yeah, no, they told someone. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the case went on trial in early January, and the defense was relentless in their attempts to undermine the charges and minimize the severity. Now, I will say a common defense during this time was that Caroline had offered passive cooperation and was characterized as a willing participant,
Oh, that plays bad on her because she went through with it and she played along.
and that Fred and Rose had just gotten impulsive.
Okay.
After a couple of days, the judge said that considering the evidence, we do not think sending you to prison would do you any good,
No, because they enjoy it.
and gave them a fine of 25 pounds.
What?
And then you want to know what the judge said again?
No, what did he say?
Go home to your kids.
What is wrong with you?
I wonder how that judge felt when they go to prison.
What are you doing? Man, you send their ass to prison. They freaking what? They
Carol,
didn't even have her testify?
I think they had her testify, but the judge was like, go home, go to your kids. There's not much prison will do for you.
Hello, you're back. Oh, thank you for coming back. Welcome back, Angela.
You just missed a hoot and a holler.
You did. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Caroline responded by saying it made her feel like she wasn't worth anything. So the case, if anything, showed to Fred and Rose limits and tolerance for violence was far greater than the case showed Fred that Rose's limits and tolerance for violence was far greater than he originally thought. And when he was arrested in 1994, he said that if Caroline hadn't run away, they were going to kill her. And when she got away, he and Rose decided that that was the last time someone would get away.
Wow. Okay, so they started to become premeditated people now.
Yeah, they were like, at this point, now we're not even going to let them clean up the house. Now we're just going to kill them. Now, at this time, Fred and Rose turned their attention to Linda Groff. And that was their new nanny. In 1973,
I was
Linda...
like, wait a minute, Linda's been with them the whole time.
Yeah, well, no, she stopped. They said, no, we got a new nanny instead. Had Caroline do it, and then...
Okay.
Now they're...
I missed that part.
And she was no longer in a relationship with Benjamin at the West House, and her job as a seamstress was not going well. So when Rose said, why don't you come live with us and become our full-time nanny, she took it. In late April, Linda's mom, June, had discovered that April had left, and she left a note saying, Mom, Dad, please don't worry about me. I've got a flat, and I will come and see you sometime. Love, Lynn. Now, it's unclear what happened when Linda moved into the West House, and this was in the last week of April. But she was less than a month there. So things had escalated pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
When the 25 Cromwell Street was excavated, Linda's body was discovered alongside a mask of wound adhesive tape. Fred and Rose had made a mask like they did with Caroline, and police found several of Linda's hair stuck to the tape, leading them to believe she had been abused in a similar way to Caroline. The prosecution later told the jury the mask of tape found with the body provides the clearest evidence that Linda was gagged and naked, and it was similar to Caroline Owen's story. So the conclusion is essay before death. Once Linda was dead, Fred dismembered her and buried her under the carport and covered over her remains with dirt, metal, and other debris. As with several of the other sets of bones that were found, small bones from the hands and feet were missing when the body was exhumed.
Okay.
Rose, meanwhile, went through Linda's belonging and kept some stuff for herself, like clothing and jewelry, and then just got rid of the rest. It gets worse because because Linda was a defiant child, very headstrong. Her parents gave her space before convincing her to come home. So after 3 weeks, her mom got really worried and called some of Linda's friends. And they didn't know where she had gone either. Finally, Linda's mom was able to narrow it down her search to the boarding house after seeing Rose's car when she was picking up her daughter. When June got to the front door and Rose answered, Rose was wearing Linda's slippers.
Ooh. Okay.
And that disturbed June. And when she looked past Rose, she saw some of Linda's clothes drying on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I went up too high. No. Sorry, this is why I don't do technology. She had seen Linda's clothes drying on the line. Rose responded that Linda stayed with them a bit, but after a few days, she said she was going to stay at a local hotel, so she was gone. June Goff and her husband would report their daughter Linda missing to the local authorities, and they spent most of their life looking for her until they discovered her fate in the mid-90s. For those who knew Linda was there, like the lodgers who were living there, Rose told them that she had been asked to leave after she hit one of her children.
Yeah, I don't.
And that is how we are going to end part 1 with their first murder that they committed together. Because Rose was very much a part of the murders.
Of course. You can hear it.
We are going to get to the other murders and eventually their capture and trial or lack thereof. We'll see. And you'll have to see what I mean. But yeah, that was Fred and Rose West. The most despicable people on the planet. You good? You good?
I'm tired now. But yeah, this is the. Sorry, pulling at my britches. How do you? I mean, just hearing their stories, like you said, I feel sorry for them in their childhood, but not for them as adults. They know what the hell they're doing. They're like, oh, we can get away with it. Let's keep going.
The fact that when after Caroline, they were like, now we're going to change our method. We were going to kill her later, but I guess we're going to kill her sooner.
And the hurt and what the poor families go through trying to figure out where their child's at. And then they
Wearing
don't
her
know.
slippers?
Yeah, be like, bitch, get them off. It's like, come on. You're throwing that in her in her mom's face. And then you turn around and lie about where she's at when you know where she is. She's under your freaking carport.
And to think about it, this happened in 1972. He wasn't arrested until 1994.
That's 14.
So they could not figure out her cause of death specifically because all she was skeleton at that point. That's why they were like, there's a tape mask next to her face. We're assuming it's the same thing as Caroline.
Like they went to put the mask, or they actually put the mask tape on Caroline.
And since her body was also dismembered, you can't tell if there's any wounds that were maybe dismembered.
Huh.
Also, if you're interested in learning more about the investigation part, which is going to be in part 2, which is going to be next week. There is a Netflix documentary series, which was released literally, I think, after I started writing part 1, they released the series on Netflix. And it's called Fred and Rose West, 25 Cromwell Street something. And they released some of the audio tapes when they're interviewing Fred. And they're interviewing Rose. Like, I think at one time, they moved Rose into a different house. The police moved Rose into a different house because they were tearing up the yard. They were tearing up the basement. They couldn't let Rose live there with the kids. So guess what they had moved her into a house with?
Well.
A house with bugs. No, like the audio listening bugs.
Oh, I was like, damn, that's gross. Maybe like
No,
live in a
the
house with
audio
bugs.
They literally listened to her conversation. They had somebody listening to her talk in case she slipped up.
Oh wow.
But there was that. You hear his talking about it, and like, I will say his laugh just gives me chills.
So we won't play the audio.
Yeah, we're not gonna play the audio because there are like times. Because I will say he kills another one of his children. Another one of his children end up dead. Right? And they're investigating the child's death. And he's like, yeah, I killed her. And then I cut her up.
It's like, how can...
With a bread knife.
You would think.
And he said it just like I'm saying it.
You would think that because all these murders are happening... No, I didn't do that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
that's not me. I didn't do that. I mean, I don't know what
and
you're
I
talking
think the reason he confessed, they even said that the reason he confessed was because they were too close to digging up more bodies.
about. So it made him nervous.
Yeah. There was even, they had I think in England, the person that they're investigating has to have a social worker with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to the house, and while they're digging up the backyard full of bones, he keeps looking over in a corner, and he's like directing them. And he goes, I'm so glad, because she can like give testimony, but I think he forgot that. I think he thought she's just there for me.
No.
He's like, oh, thank God that he goes, thank God they didn't see that. And she goes, see what? And he goes, you don't see it over there? There's a bone sticking out of the ground. And when she looked over, there's a freaking bone sticking out of the ground underneath the house. And on like between the foundation and the ground. And she's like, oh. And she said that he gave her a smirk, like a knowing smirk, like, now we're in on this together. And she was like,
That's what you think.
okay. No, it was awful what Fred and Rose knew how to pick their victims really, really well.
They're just sick people.
They are sick people.
They are sick.
Now you can see why I've been having nightmares.
They are sick, sick people.
Monsters.
I mean, I don't know if they're still alive, but well, I guess we'll find that out later.
Yeah, you're gonna find that out later.
And
Cowards.
that t-shirt, we already have that as a t-shirt. If we ever make these t-shirts, we're gonna have to sit there and like plan out when we wear them.
Yeah. But no. Yeah, that's Fred and Rose West. They are monsters. They are despicable human beings. I'm gonna give you a heads up on the next episode. There is a little bit of a mention of child abuse. So, because, like I said earlier, unlike other serial killers that kind of treat their kids really nice, no, their kids suffered the same abuse as their victims.
Misfit Mechanic Gaming. Angela sent me. Oh, okay. Hi. Thank you. You just it came in on the end of our live,
episode.
Our episode here. What's up, Jeremy? Yeah, I'm guilty. Hey, like I said, because we had to just go ahead and start our live, so none of this is titled. So we're going to title it, and she's going to write the description. But if you're able to, Misfit Mechanic Gaming, if you want to go over to A&M History and subscribe to that channel, we're trying to get 50 subscribers so we can go live over there instead of on this channel, because this channel is my separate channel.
Oh, very nice.
And grow up together. Well, nice. I appreciate you joining. Did you? Are you gonna subscribe to both, or you gonna subscribe to one or the other?
Yeah.
We do our lives on this one, like I said, because we don't have 50 subscribers on the other one. So, if you know people that might be interested in, like our channel is A&M history, but this is like true crime. We kind of are going back in time to when things happen. We do have a link. You can also search us in the search bar too on YouTube. What'd you say? We need the link put up. Okay, I'll have to put it. We can put it in the description for the link for that. So I will when we go to do the description today.
And I
wonder
hope.
how I can do that on here just by putting it in the chat. Can I put it in the chat?
I think you can.
I should be able to.
I'm just gonna give you a heads up though. I hope I do really good to like portraying the victims. But there's not a lot on their backgrounds.
Yeah.
Because like Linda Goff, there wasn't a lot known. Like Caroline Owens, 1 of 15. Because she has a stepfather, I gotta assume the stepfather has kids and the mom had kids. I gotta assume that. There's no way you have 15 kids.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure it out. So if I make faces, that's normal.
1 of 15.
I wonder if I have to just do this. Can I switch channels? See all that right there? That's all the crap I put in the
I
first.
think you can switch.
I'm just trying to figure out how to switch. That's the issue. Because I'm
Go
watching
to
this.
you.
Oh, duh. I'm so smart. You like that face? Do I not have the account on my...
Give me a second, I can figure it out.
Un momento, por favor.
Give me a second. Let me go ahead.
I'm trying to put it into the comments.
I know.
But I'm going to try to go on there so I can click on it and then copy it and then paste it.
What is this episode called?
We didn't write a title for it because we had to just start because remember we were having issues.
No.
Yes. Okay, hold on. Don't want to create an account. Okay, just stop already. I'm done. So what I will do is I will go into our...
Wait.
we have 177.
Wait.
There you go. Well, you're going to have to...
Wait.
Switch.
Bada bing, bada boom, I did it.
You put it in the comments?
Yes.
Just now.
Yes.
Okay. Making sure, because I mean, I don't know.
I think I did. Did I?
We'll see. Hold on.
Did it not work?
She don't see it, she said.
Oh, wait. Maybe I have this on.
So you have to go there.
No, I did go there. I think I have like a don't.
No, because you have to go into our info, or the little...
I did. Why are you being mean to me?
I'm not being... You better stop it. Remember who's driving you next Monday to go get a Dutch bro. Alright.
I'm pretty sure I have my comments. That is like, my comments are private. So give me a second. I'm trying here.
Yeah, because I don't have it set up on my... So it's not set up on my... unless you have a link blocker on.
I don't have a link blocker on.
Oop. Say you could just sell it to me too if you want. No, Justin's wanting hot dogs. So when we get done, they're gonna go to the store and do hot. But he's wanting cheese with hot dogs. You're gonna tell me what it is, and I'll just put it in.
I'm trying here.
What's that place? Sonic.
No, we're not doing Sonic. They're just gonna go to Bash's.
Here.
Bash.
Holy jeez, all that crap. What if I just did? Oh, does it have to be that? HTTP. Give me a second, guys, and I'll
This
get
is
it.
for staring at me.
Really?
Yeah. That was not to you. That was for staring at me.
But you did it in front of her, so it doesn't affect me.
Oh, damn it. Sorry.
And they heard it. By the way. That I just heard it. Go away.
Yes.
God. That was John.
Let it be known that Abigail and Michelle are outstanding, and I am proud of them for their
We're trying
show.
to put the link up.
Are you done already? Or?
Oh,
Yeah,
we're-
we
yeah, we
finished all
finished
17
already.
pages.
But it's just we
I
have
got
to-
16 more. Y'all heard that, right? I got 16 more of this.
16 more!
I'm losing my sanity.
She must be from
That's
New
actually
York.
funny. That's
Thomas says hi, John.
Hello, Thomas. It is an honor and a pleasure to hear your
It shows
voice,
right there.
Sir Thomas of the Thomasons.
What are you doing? My God. You know what? I think you do have something because it shows on her phone that it's on her in the comments. But it's not popping up. That's weird. Okay.
Wait, let me check
It's
settings.
It's all messages. There we go. See if it pops up. See? It's not in there. But it's not popping up.
I tried.
My freaking keyboard is separated, so this is the.
I wonder. Oh, I can't text it to you.
Oh, my phone's right there. I kind of need it back up.
I need it back up.
So I can type it in. Do I have to put all that?
Yes, you have to put all that.
This is a crock of crap. Okay.
So I write case episodes, so I will write true crime cases. I will write, so when I say I have 17 or 16 pages, that's how much the information I have on the case. And so I do a bunch of research on a case, I type it up, I read it, she reacts as we go.
Okay.
And then sometimes we'll discuss it afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it's a particularly nasty one. I think we did the Matt Trapper of Rat River last week, and that one was like insane, but
That one was the one I didn't care
that
for.
one she didn't care for, so there wasn't a lot to discuss.
Yeah, there was not much to discuss. at
When we
all.
did the Bayou Strangler, though,
Dude, I was all over that.
yeah,
I don't know why, but there was just I had to hear that one. I had
Yeah.
to hear it. And then what's funny is the Bayou Strangler. I was watching a thing on with Robert Englund, the guy that plays Freddy Krueger, and he was talking about that.
Yeah.
They started talking about. I was like, wait a minute, I know that story. And I sat there and I'm like, I should do this one. And then the more he talked about it, I was like, well, I can't do that one. We just did that. And it was the exact. It was the exact same one. Literally the exact
Same
but
exact
he
one.
named it something. But he called it something else. It wasn't what we were calling it.
the Bayou Strangler,
Yeah, because he started talking about jazz music.
the Axeman of New Orleans. You mean?
Yeah, that one.
They're two different killers.
Oh, are they?
The next show is
Okay.
going to be next Monday.
You
We
can have
usually
it.
do it between 5:30,
I'll take that back.
depending if we have to go to work. Like today, we have to go to work, so we started later. They're also having technical difficulties, but it's going to be next Monday.
Me being the technical difficulty.
So,
The technical difficulty?
Yes, I am.
I'm
Because
not a technical difficulty.
you're gonna become one.
Uh-oh.
So,
love
but
you,
yeah,
though.
next
Love you,
episode
too.
is going to be part 2, which I've already written. I write my case episodes in like advance. I don't write them like the week before because I want to forget some of the
There it
information.
is. All right, Misfit Mechanic Gaming. There you go, dude.
Soon
Yeah.
they're
That
gonna have
took
an
me a hot
episode
minute.
called the Michelle murder.
Angela said, "Run, John, run." Dude, I love you, but there are times that you just drive me crazy, and it's at the wrong time.
No way. I am an angel. Uh-oh.
So, yes, we will. So we have the next week's, which is
Um,
part 2.
Part 2. I'm really tired today. Today was a rough day at work.
Yes. So on Mondays, yes.
Yes, so on
And
Mondays.
then there's
Usually after 5.
Yep, we try to
5
do
or
it after
after.
5 because I work until 4. So
And usually I'm off, but I go to work recently on
Yeah.
Mondays. And that's... Yeah, today was a pain in the butt, especially because guess
Isn't the
what?
30th next Monday?
Yeah, today. Next
Oh,
Monday's the 30th.
we're gonna have to come home and take a nap.
Oh no! We have to work a 4 to 1.
Yeah, Mondays are tough for me. I mean, when you can jump on and you're able to jump on, that's fine. And
If you
nothing
can
else-
watch the episode later or after, you don't have to be on live. You can just
Yeah, you can
watch
go
it
on.
after. We downloaded onto A&M History, so that you guys can watch it and just listen in the background.
I'm making that face because I don't know if I did that most recent one. I think I did. Did I do the most recent one?
She probably didn't.
Oh, your phone. Wait. Okay, your phone's this way. Why? Are you on ours or this or the other one?
I'm on ours.
Okay. I have to look because then I don't do that. No, why did you do that? No. Stop it.
I'm just poking stuff.
That's 14. So I have not done 15 yet. So I'm a little bit behind.
You didn't do our history one?
Is it the one that's the
You
No,
did it?
I did. No, I did upload it. It may not be finished. Because it takes a bit for it to upload. So yes, I did do that one. Okay. Tudness. Screw management. So to the other one to Misfit so we can get their subs up there. Oh, I already subscribed. Yeah, because I just did the one for A&M.
Yeah.
So he's subscribed to both. So that's the one I just put in the comments. It's for the
Yeah.
other channel. So if you know people that
Are true crime into true crime?
you go kick your butt. Into true crime, I think later this year because we have our spooky season coming up.
We're gonna be baking while we do some
Pretty dang
episodes.
soon, and I'm excited. Okay, will you stop it? Quit moving things.
Sorry, I'm a little worried about the dogs. I've just been watching the dog slowly. She ate a whole corn on the cob.
She didn't get all of it. She didn't.
She
eat
ate
all
the
of it.
middle,
She
too.
ate the middle. She ate the weirdo. No, so you have a heads up. We do mix things up.
Yeah.
Misfit of what we do. Maybe.
I might bring in some extra pumpkin bread.
But we like to do these little things, and it also is something she likes to talk about and do because she likes to talk about a lot of things. So I just approached her with doing a podcast, and then I changed it because we started doing more history things. I'm like, I'm going to change the name. It's not A&M podcast anymore. It's A&M history.
Yeah, because I do a lot of murder cases on the 30s.
Yes.
I don't know why. Those cases just seem more fun.
It's right. So
But then you get cases like this one where it happens in the 60s,
And
70s,
70s and-
80s, and 90s.
we might be going back to the 30s because those are just more, not more fun. I'm not going to say that.
They're
They're more interesting.
they got more like
Yay, no walnuts.
hoots and hollers.
I don't like walnuts either.
Yeah, no, mine has
But
only
then-
chocolate chips in it.
So we have this one, the part 2 of this one,
Mm-hmm.
and then Monday is the Barbara Jean.
Yeah, so the
kidnapping.
30th is Kidnapping of Barbara Jean. The first one in
No.
July.
The next one is the other part too.
Yes.
The 30th is
The
this one.
30th is part 2.
The 7th is Barbara Jean because the
Yes.
14th.
The 7th is Barbara Jean.
The 14th is the history on Disneyland because it's going to be the 70th anniversary next month for Disneyland. So I've already started my paper. I'm not done, but I started it.
Take the shoes and the wheelchairs. Yes,
Yep.
ma'am. Take the shoes and the wheelchair. He don't deserve it.
And then
You want to know what I want to do to him?
Will was like, what the hell? Then later on, I think when it hits August, kind of going into August, we
August.
start doing our spooky stuff, but not too much.
Yeah, we start doing like the spookier stories. I think I do a couple of stories that are like in like I do a case in the 1700s.
That's so spooky.
And then doing,
Soap maker.
and then we have history on Walt Disney World because that's October 1st, and then we got
She's a triceratops. She can handle the abuse.
and then we have Edgar Allan Poe, which is my all-time favorite. Oh, she won't talk about that one.
I'm not talking about La Llorona. No.
She's not doing that one.
No.
Um,
I'm still scared of her. I am 26.
yeah, to think about your own age. Wow.
Yes, I have to think about my own age. I am 26.
Too many Red Bulls.
And I refuse to talk about her. I'm still scared of her.
So yeah, so we have a lot of things lined up all the way up to November, but we're gonna probably change we're not gonna change the story that we're doing or what we're gonna talk about, but I think the title of it is gonna be Cooking with True Crime. Have like Cooking with True Crime.
Yeah, one episode we are not gonna be cooking, simply because what is in the case is not something you want to be cooking with.
No. So yeah. So we're trying to think of some foods that we can do, and we have to get new things because I broke it.
Yeah, we have to get a new microphone. So we might get like just like the stand microphones that are like here,
And
so
you
we can talk
attach
into
it
it.
to the table.
Yeah, and then get a soundboard later on.
Yes, soundboard. No.
She's gonna have so much fun with it.
It's got to have a moo on it, so if there's cows involved. Some animals. Because right now this is what we have, a sound box. I bought this, I think, at Dollar Tree
But
or
this
somewhere.
episode there has been no moment to use the sound box because it's just been nonstop. What? Especially when I said 15 kids.
Ooh, she
Yes.
can find recipes that'll tailor to the
topic.
Heck yeah. Maybe like Raven stew for Poe. But it'll be fun. I mean, I think you'll like it. Again, I will do my best to be quicker about posting onto the other channel. I did post the last one. I don't think it's done downloading is the thing. I don't think it's done getting over there. Yeah. This one we have to fill everything in, and then I can upload it to the other channel. But if you know people, use OBS, your phone, push them
Push out the stream.
or just your phone. I use that or just your phone to push out the stream. Yeah, because I see what he's asking. No, we just use the phone.
Yeah.
We don't use computer. I've used that stuff before when I've pre-recorded and then tried to put it into that, and it was just too. It's po' boy sandwiches. Heck yeah. But it was just like too much, and not only that, my computer ran slow. I don't have a great computer to do that, and until we officially move, I don't want to try coffin pizzas. I don't want to try to get something like that until we are settled and we establish ourselves.
Because if we
where
tried
do.
to use Justin's computer, he would kill us.
Yeah, but I do want the same setup as him, so that way
Yeah.
we can still do our podcast in front of the computer, and one side can be where you see us talking, and the other side when we go to share it, we can pull up photos and pictures of people. Great when you have the setup. Yeah, it is great. I liked it. It's just it just wasn't going fast enough for me. It would stall. It would just, and I hated it. I'm not saying it's not a good thing to use because it is, but not on my computer. It wouldn't go right. So I want to get a gaming computer because I think that will help out a lot. So having a gaming computer would be something that would work really well. And like I said, once we move, that's something I'm gonna. You're on Twitch. Haven't done Twitch. I've been on Twitch. I don't get on it anymore. I just don't see the need to get on there. I was on there, going on there and doing my gaming stuff. Know how to set up your is key. Yeah, I have a gaming PC. Okay. Yeah, my son is very good with stuff like that. So whenever I get the chance to get a gaming computer, because I want to get me one and get my boyfriend one, because he likes World of Warcraft at times, then I want to be able to get on there so we can start setting up our thing and being able to do more live streams and stuff like that. Now, if it comes to the cooking one, it'd have to be from a phone, and I'll just have to put it on there.
Yeah.
Because I ain't carrying a computer all the way to the freaking kitchen, but we can use a cell phone or something like that to get it uploaded. But for now, we'll just use what we have, the phone, and we'll have to get new microphones, like I said. I've a gaming laptop too. I thought about that as well. To where, because I have 2 laptops, but one doesn't really work, so I just need to get rid of it, because you can't even get on it, period. And then my red one that I have, the HP, I dropped it, they fixed it, but now it just runs too slow. So I'm at the shop around for computers, and then I get, gaming laptop will be good to have on the side to like have in here for cooking. Hold on, Hermione, I'll let you in. But we're gonna jump off because we got people that are hungry, even though we already ate. They went over to the store and get some stuff. They fixed it. Well, they fixed my screen because that's what broke.
I get to finally have a day off after 7 days of working.
So
I don't recommend working 7 days in a row.
yeah, but
yeah.
we appreciate you subscribing, Misfit
Yeah.
Mechanic Gaming.
I think multiple times throughout the day today I was just sitting on the floor.
I can't see. People are asking. So I'm trying to move things.
Thomas said I have split days off for 2 weeks. Have a good night. And then Misfit Mechanic Gaming said Acer Nitro 5 is the best gaming laptop in my opinion.
Acer?
Yeah. All right, guys. We will see you next Monday for the end of the Fred and Rose story. Or is it the end?
Remember.
We never know.
Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Tomas. And again, thank you, Misfit. Like I said, if you can't be on here Mondays, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. We're not going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
If you know people that might be interested in what we talk about, they can subscribe to both. So I appreciate you subscribing to both channels for us. Thank you so much. Love you guys, and we will see you next Monday.
See you next
Bye.
Monday. We'll be
Finger.
more tired.